operates when it comes to basically just making fans sit in the stands for, I don't know, 3 hours plus, and then deciding 4 hours plus, and then deciding, you know what, we're going to rain this game out. We'll play it tomorrow. But hey, spend lots of your hard-earned money on concessions and cotton candy and hats and baseballs and all that. But then you get to come back tomorrow and you can do it all again. So it's just so typical of what Major League Baseball does to its fans. But another time, another place, we'll get into that. We're keeping tabs on Monday Night Football. Hold on, let me turn around and look. 13-13 third quarter, Broncos and the Chargers. We will keep tabs on that all night. We'll do the live betting focus on that. You know we love to get into the live betting, so we'll do that coming up a little later on in this hour. Look, we said this week was going to be that week. They called it Separation Sunday. I don't come up with corny names like that. It's just you knew where you had all these 3-2 and 2-3 teams. This was going to be the week where we started to sort out contenders from pretenders, disappointments from surprises, legit. And I think we all kind of know now where we stand at the 1/3 point of this season with regards to all but 2 teams. So we'll start the show with that. Just getting going. Monday edition of the Cash In. I'm Jason Page. Glad to have you with us on SportsMap Radio. Stay tuned. One second. Hold on. Around. Lots more to do. I'm Jason Page. It's the Cash In on SportsMap Radio. So the interview we do They were silent because I accidentally had the mute button pushed. Oh, that's funny. No, it wasn't. Mm-hmm. Do I really? Damn it. Oh, nice. Okay. Thanks for that. It's in my Twitter bio? Shoot. Oh, that's terrible. Let me fix that. Gold, Jerry, gold. Oh my God, it does say at SportsMap. Oh, it's so bad. How did I just figure that out? Oh, damn it. Okay, thank you.
Hello.
Yo.
Hey, is it audio or video?
Yeah, just audio.
All right, hang
I'm
on
easy.
1 sec. Okay, let me give me 1 second here. favorite in every game the rest of the year. Maybe they'll be a dog in Dallas on Christmas Eve, but every other game they're going to be a favorite. But one of these games, a team is going to come back and beat them.
Yeah, and I mean, look, I don't think the Dolphins of yesteryear have to worry about this team, becoming the next undefeated team in the NFL. So I'm not sure anybody's necessarily going to be surprised if and when the Eagles lose a game. Yes, it's a nice start. You also have to look at some of the games they've won, who they've beaten. If I put them, I said this last week, if you put them on the field with Kansas City or Buffalo right now, are you making them a favorite? I'm sure the hell not.
No, of course not. But that's the joy of playing in the NFC and playing in the NFC East. The Eagles have the easiest schedule in the NFL, so they're going to run their way to probably a number one overall seed in the NFC playoffs.
I look at the Jets and Giants right now, and these, the 5-1 start for the Giants, the 4-2 start for the Jets. I think what the Giants are doing is somewhat sustainable. I'm still not there yet on the Jets.
I'm not there on the Jets because the quarterback play has to be better. They are getting, I will say this, incredible contributions from their rookies. Both Breece Hall and Sauce Gardner right now are the favorites for offensive and defensive rookie of the year. So you want to talk about Joe Douglas having an incredible draft? He had an incredible draft. And if the Jets keep getting contributions from their running game, it takes all the pressure off of Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson didn't have to do anything against the Green Bay Packers. He threw for 110 yards. And if they're able to run the ball like they've been and play defense the way that they've been, then yeah, they're not going to ask him to do too much. But in games where they're going to need Zach Wilson to come through in order for them to be competitive, I just don't see it happening. This is a guy who was the worst quarterback in the NFL last year, and we still haven't seen him take the leap that people were hoping to see early on. Now, I know he started the year hurt, but we haven't seen it yet from Zach Wilson.
I was talking with Scott Seidenberg, pregame.com. Catch him there. I look at, we had Indianapolis and Tennessee basically buried through the first 2 or 3 weeks of the season, and everybody was on the Jacksonville Jaguars bandwagon, myself included. Now all of a sudden Jacksonville looks like Jacksonville again, and Indianapolis and Tennessee are sort of stepping up in class, in a bad division, granted, but stepping up a little bit in class in terms of the way they're playing. Do you think they've sort of righted the ship, and what's your confidence level in them as we continue to go through this next third of the season?
I have a little more confidence in Indy because they've been able to win the last 2 games without Jonathan Taylor. And if I told Frank Reich and the Colts that before the games, they would have signed up for it, and they probably would have asked how much of their soul they have to sell in order to get that. So now, you'll get Jonathan Taylor back, and Matt Ryan has developed a nice little relationship with some of these young wide receivers. Look at Alec Pierce stepping up out of nowhere to become a big-time contributor for them. And this is a big game playing in Tennessee. If they're able to win this one, and it's going to be a close game because it always is between these two teams, that they're going to have the inside track at this division. I still think it's up in the air, and it'll come down to who plays better down the stretch of the season. But if you're asking me to choose a division winner right now, I'm choosing the Colts.
I'm not sure how keen you are on betting the baseball, but I think with the change to the game moving to tomorrow, and now the Yankees feeling confident that Nestor Cortez will get the start for them, I think you have to love the Yankees tomorrow at home against the Guardians. Do you not?
I like the under. I was on the under here in the game that got postponed, and it's even more emphasized with the game being postponed to tomorrow because now the bullpen gets a day of rest for both of these teams. You already had a Yankees bullpen that was going to go into tonight's backing up Jameson Taillon with Lou Trevino and Jonathan Loaizaga for multiple innings. So already their top arms were going to be coming in after not pitching yesterday. Now they get an extra day of rest. That's just extra innings you can get out of your relievers. And for the Guardians, they were going to turn to Emmanuel Clase for at least 2 innings. And now with another day off, this guy can go 3 innings. So I think having the relievers get an extra day of rest, it's going to hurt both of these teams, likely going into game 1 against the Astros with no break. But I think both starting pitchers are going to be on a short leash, and both managers are going to turn to the bullpen early. So I think runs are going to be at a premium.
You don't like the Yankees, but if I put the proverbial gun to your head, Yankees Guardians, you don't think it's the Yankees tomorrow?
I would favor the Yankees, of course. I just, based on the price, don't know if I'm comfortable laying it.
Really? 158? That's too much for you?
That's pretty juiced.
Come on. You can afford it. Let's go.
I'm more comfortable taking the under 7.5.
All right. Well, and that depends on the book, because right now I'm looking at a particular big name sports book that has it at 7 right now. And I don't think I don't think I'd touch it at 7. At 7.5, I probably would. And again, this is why Scott Seidenberg preaches.
Line shot, baby.
There you go. See, it's like we never stopped working together. Scott Seidenberg, pregame.com. What's the name of the podcast, too?
Straight Out of Vegas AM. Available wherever you get your podcasts. Episodes every morning at 5 a.m. So wake up early with me.
Why not? I can't think of anything nicer than waking up early with Scott Seidenberg. Scott, be well, my friend. Stay well. Stay safe in Vegas. We'll talk to you soon.
Take care. Good luck.
This is Scott Seidenberg. All right, we'll update you on the Monday Night Football game. It's getting interesting late. And we'll wrap up this hour of the Cash In on SportsMap Radio. Love Scott. Yes. Yeah. I mean, I could always throw to the first answer if you need me to. That's not a problem. All right. Yeah, I'm off on Friday. I got to take part in a bowling tournament. Ba-na-na. Ba-na-bum-bum-bum. Bum-bum-bum. See, I don't know why. I don't think of minus 158 on the money line for the Yankees tomorrow as a lot of juice. I have little doubt that the Yankees are going to win tomorrow. Little doubt. So I'll I'll give the juice because I think the Yankees win tomorrow. Oh yeah, I know. Astro fans are praying the Yankees win tomorrow because they want to beat the Yankees en route to another potential World Series. Absolutely. Yeah, there's Belmer. Absolutely. I completely agree. Hey, if you haven't done so yet, make sure to sign up for Jock MKT. It's the app that lets you trade your favorite professional sports players like stocks. You could do it for a game. You could do it for a slate of games. You got to go check it out. Jock MKT offers live daily markets for sports that let you buy and sell shares of athletes in real time and with other users, all for real money. And each share has a guaranteed payout at the end of the night. Bid on shares before the games in their IPO phase and trade shares live while the games are happening. All shares have a guaranteed payout at the end of the night. They're currently live in 36 states. Claim your deposit bonus right now. 100% deposit bonus by using the promo code CASHIN on your first deposit, up to $100. Again, 100% deposit bonus. Use the promo code CASHIN, jockmkt.com. The cash-in continues on SportsMap Radio. 38 seconds remaining, fourth quarter. Broncos and Chargers tied at 16. We've seen the Chargers lose so many of these close games. So many close games. But 16-16 as they play late in the fourth quarter, with Chargers having the football around their own 40-yard line. A Broncos player is down, so that's why there's a bit of a stoppage right now, and it forced the Broncos to use a timeout because a player injury under 2 minutes requires the team to use a timeout, or it has a runoff. So Broncos lose a timeout in this spot, which really doesn't mean a lot considering if this game ends in regulation, it'll end with the Chargers on offense. 1-800-224-2004, 800-224-2004. On Twitter, at The Back Page. Hello to our friends listening in our Dallas audience, 97.1 The Freak. They join us for the second and third hours of the show every night. And I know Cowboy fans are going to be down on this loss. And I know there's been some conversation today about, well, could have Dak Prescott started this game and should he have started this game? I don't have any problem with Cooper Rush starting this game. No problem with it at all. And I know people are going to say, well, now the Cowboys are 4-2 and the Giants are 5-1. Again, you can put the Cowboys on the same field with the Giants 10 times, and I think the Cowboys win 7 or 8 of them. So I'm not worried about the Giants if I'm a Cowboys fan. I think they're better than them. Do I want to get that game in Philadelphia yesterday? Of course you do. Do you like being 2 games behind the division leader? Of course you don't. Because now even if you beat the Eagles the next time around, you may still be behind them depending on what happens, obviously, between now and then. Here's the good news. Dak Prescott's coming back. And he's not the only quarterback who's going to make a return in all likelihood in Week 7. We'll get to that coming up in a couple of minutes. Just getting started. Second hour of the Cash-In on SportsMap Radio and the SportsMap Radio app. We're keeping an eye on Monday Night Football. Stay with us. My God. I mean, you could sit here all day and try and convince me that some of these young head coaches in the league are smart guys and young up and coming. These guys can't manage the end of a game to save their life. None of these teams can manage the end of a game to save their life. I mean, it's embarrassingly bad. And it's happening a lot. My goodness. They're going to overtime. Broncos and Chargers tied at 16. But, I mean, it has been bad. I mean, Brandon Staley and this offense in the final drive could not have been worse. Not possible. There was no urgency to get the ball down the field. Bunch of dink and dunk. They got the football back at, I don't know, the 30 with minute 52 on the clock. And the best they could do was get 20 yards and then have to throw a Hail Mary that didn't even make it to the end zone. I mean, that is just embarrassing. Absolutely embarrassing. And look, you know, we could talk all day about, well, bad luck or this and that and, you know, winning games late and struggling in close games as the Chargers have. But if you watch the last 2 minutes of that Chargers-Broncos regulation, you know exactly why the Chargers don't win games close games late. I mean, that was horrendous. God. Producer John Belmer is working on the show tonight in Houston. Did you see that, John? Oh, my God. It was, can it be any worse? They had three. They had all three times. Well, I'm talking about the Chargers. Had all three timeouts. And they didn't take one shot at the middle of the field. My God, what is happening? Yes. Oh, my God. The betting. We always like to give you the betting. Right now, I wouldn't bet either of these teams if you gave me your money. If John Belmer said, here is my meager pay, sir, and said, go bet my money, I'd give him back his money. God. So Broncos and Chargers are both minus 113, I guess before the coin toss. I guess that's what they do. I don't know if they did the coin toss yet or not, but Broncos are minus 113 as are the Chargers. It's just so bad. You know, Scott Seidenberg joined us in the first hour. We were talking about, you are what your record is. You can see why these teams are as bad as they are or as mediocre as they are. The Chargers are 3-2. The point differential is minus 14. The Broncos are 2-3. And I can't think of anything better than this game ending in a tie right now. That's what they both deserve. My God. The Broncos have looked a little better offensively, but still. I mean, baby steps is not what you're expecting for $250 million from Russell Wilson. And God, if I have to listen to another sycophantic suck-up during these pregame shows on ESPN or anywhere else talking about, well, he's Russell Wilson and it'll get better. And no, you got to trust him and let Russ cook and all of this stuff. I mean, haven't we seen enough at some point? Oh, he hurt his shoulder and he had to have this done and that done. I'm done with it. Maybe it's just a mediocre year for the NFL. Maybe it's just that. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's just the year of mediocrity for the NFL. And when all is said and done, we're going to have two teams in the Super Bowl. They may be good. They may not be. We'll all watch. But it's just going to be one of those years. Maybe that's what it is. I don't deduce as much from the Dallas loss yesterday in Philadelphia against the Eagles as maybe some people are. I'm still high on the Cowboys because of what they can do defensively. Look, was Cooper Rush exposed a bit yesterday? Yes. Did you find out a bit about why he's a backup quarterback? Yes. Would the Cowboys have had a better chance with Dak Prescott yesterday? Yes. Would they have won? I don't necessarily know that, and neither do you, so don't say you do. But the fact of the matter is, Dak Prescott's going to be back for the Cowboys this week, and Tua Tagovailoa is going to be back for the Dolphins this week, and that should enhance both of those teams' chances for actually doing something in the remainder of this season. The Dolphins looked like world beaters the first 3 weeks. They've lost the last 3 without Tua. The Cowboys figured out a way to go 4-1 with Cooper Rush at quarterback. Now they're 4-2. And they got their star quarterback coming back just in time for week 7. And again, I am still feeling good if I'm a Cowboys fan. I will say this again, before you get upset about last night, Cowboy fans. I'll say this one more time. If I had told you that after week 1, that after week 6, you would be 4-2. You would have signed up for it in a heartbeat. Don't say you wouldn't, because you're lying. And not only are you 4-2, but you have the Lions and Bears in back-to-back games at the Jerry Dome, the Jerry World, Cowboy Land, whatever you want to call it. You've got those 2 teams for your next 2 games and could very easily be 6-2 and separate yourselves from the rest of the pack. Look, there's a possibility 2 wildcard teams could come out of the NFC East. Again, I would have had you urinating into a cup if you had told me that before the season started, but right now, that's kind of what it is. Because after the Eagles, it's the Giants at 5-1, the Cowboys are 4-2, the Vikings are 5-1 leading their division, and the other 2 division leaders are 3-3, which tells you what the rest of those divisions look like. Do I think this all carries through for 17 games? I have no idea. I've been so wrong about this season so far, I wouldn't even try to guess. Because I think I'm doing you a disservice. All I can do is react to what I see every week the same way you probably are. Because there's no consistent theme other than the fact that there is no consistent theme from week to week in this league. I mean, the Giants beat the Ravens yesterday. I haven't even gotten in on Lamar Jackson yet, and I don't know if I'll get into it today. But at this point, are you giving Lamar Jackson the contract he's wanted? Great. The first 3 weeks, he looked wonderful. The last 3 weeks, he's looked very mediocre, and he's made bad decisions late in games that have cost his team. You want to give Lamar Jackson, $200 million? And make him your starting quarterback and give him all that guaranteed money that he's asking for? And again, this is the downside of betting on yourself. The Ravens have been very average, both defensively and offensively. And they're just the best of a very mediocre division right now that even the Steelers are only 1 game out of first place. 1 game, and the Steelers are a dumpster fire. Kenny Pickett got hurt yesterday. They had to go back to Mitchell Trubisky, who just decided he was all of a sudden going to look like the Mitchell Trubisky they thought he could be when the season started, and the Steelers beat the... I don't get it. I'm telling you, as flummoxed as I sound talking about it, that's how it looks when I'm watching it every week on my TV. Pittsburgh 20, Tampa Bay 18. And Mitchell Trubisky, 9 of 12 for 144 and a touchdown. He played his best game of the season, and it wasn't even his game. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Denver has the ball in overtime. Well, the Chargers got it now. What happened? What did I miss? Oh, they punted. All right, next score. So next score wins. I wouldn't have all that much confidence in the next score coming from the Chargers after what I saw in that last possession. Denver and the Chargers tied at 16 in overtime. By the way, we'll have complete post-game reaction. We'll get some post-game press conference audio for you, all of that coming up after the Chargers and the Broncos. We go live to the podium, usually hear from at least one of the head coaches or one of the star players of this game. 1-800 224-2004, 800-224-2004. You can tweet at the show at The Back Page. Again, hit me up on Twitter at The Back Page. Love to get your thoughts on Week 6 in the NFL and obviously what we saw regarding the the Cowboys and the Eagles last night, which was just... I thought it was a very entertaining game. I loved the way the Cowboys responded in the second half after being down in that game 20-0. I still have every belief the Cowboys are the team that I thought they were, that along with the 49ers, who were just terrible yesterday, and that's one that still leaves me scratching my head. If you wanted to believe that Atlanta and San Francisco would be close because of the way the Falcons have played and basically been a cover machine, and every game they've been in has been close, that's fine. I get it. But how the Cowboys go in there, how the 49ers go into Atlanta yesterday and play that badly, that's a complete head scratcher. Defies logic for me. We'll see how they respond next week, coming off that kind of loss. All right, we'll see where we are in the overtime when we come back. Broncos and Chargers tied at 16 as they play about 7:24 to go, about midway through the overtime period. We'll let you know what happens there. We'll come back, get into some more from the NFL, including Aaron Rodgers calling out his coach on a game plan that needs to be simplified. We'll tell you how Matt LaFleur is responding. That's next on the Cash In. That's SportsMap Radio. Okay, thank you. Hey, Google, set thermostat to 77 degrees.
Sure. Setting the Nest thermostat to 77 degrees.
Nah, not that fancy. Oh, no. Oh. That could fry equipment. That's dangerous. $94. Jesus. No way. I know. Should play till there's a winner. No ties. It already feels like each team has had the ball about 5 times in this overtime. Nobody can do anything offensively. Oh, my God, it's so bad. 5:36 to go in overtime. Chargers with the ball on their own 19-yard line. I mean, man. Going to have another tie in the NFL, and we're not even done with week 6, so we'll just be finishing week 6. Somebody's got to win. I was just saying to John Belmer during the commercial interlude that they should just play till there's a winner. Player safety schmafety when it comes to finding a winner. Come on. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. We'll see if Justin Herbert can drive him down the field. I have a feeling that Russell Wilson's going to get the football back again at some point in this overtime. Because the Chargers just can't get anything going offensively. Did they just get a first down? Catch and drop. Yeah, catch and drop. Yeah, I got it. So, looked like a catch and then a fumble to me. Catch, football move, fumble. That's what it looked like. But next score wins Denver and the Chargers. I mean, look, if you don't know by now, the Buccaneers are a mess, and so are the Green Bay Packers. They got beat by the Jets at home yesterday, 27-10. And, I mean, the mediocrity that is the Green Bay Packers right now, and you can point to the roster and talk about the receiving game and the lack of great receivers that Aaron Rodgers has to throw the football to. But, I mean, and look, some of this does fall at the feet of Packers management in terms of the talent they've put around Aaron Rodgers this season. There's no question about it that some of the blame has to go there. And the fact that you allowed yourself as an organization to go into this season with this group of receivers surrounding arguably one of the best quarterbacks of this generation, it's unforgivable. It's absolutely unforgivable. And maybe, just maybe, and I don't know what you do when you're talking about week 6. When we're at week 6 of the regular season, I don't know how much you can do to fix the situation, whether it's, go and give Odell Beckham Jr. as much as he wants to come and play for your team, and maybe that's the answer. But to have allowed it to get to this point, it's a disservice to Aaron Rodgers. It's a disservice to your fan base for this team, this proud franchise, to have come into this season with this collection of talent around Aaron Rodgers. Now, if you told me they were coming into this year and Jordan Love was going to be the starting quarterback and you were going to have some growing pains and you surrounded him with these kind of receivers, while I would think it is regrettable, I'd say, hey, let's find out what the kid is made of and find out what he can do with that group of receivers. When you're talking about Aaron Rodgers, if Aaron Rodgers is coming back for this year as he did, well, then it's about winning a Super Bowl. It's not merely about being competitive. It's not about winning the NFC North. It's not about a wild card. It's not about winning a playoff game. It's about winning a Super Bowl when you were just one game away from that last year. You cannot, in that situation, 2 games away from that, you cannot bring back Aaron Rodgers this year and surround him with this. Hey, the Chargers got the ball still? What the hell did I miss? It was muffed. Wow. I wonder if Dustin Hopkins can get a kickoff right now. He's got a bad hamstring that he hurt during the game. Saw him grab the back of his leg after the first field goal he attempted tonight, or extra point or something, and he hasn't been right since. Right now you're talking about a 47-yard kick, 46-yard kick in order for the Chargers to be able to win this game. We're keeping tabs on it, don't worry. We'll let you know what happens in this game. So it looks like the Chargers are at the very least, they're going to have a field goal. But here's the tricky thing. They get a field goal to try and win this game. If they miss it from this distance, I mean, right now it's a 3rd and 12. If they don't get the field goal here, then the Broncos are going to have the ball with good field position and still a couple of minutes left to try and go get their own game-winning field goal. Boy, it's a good thing this game moved fast for the first 4 quarters. If you're going to get an overtime game, that's what you want. But interestingly enough, to go back to Aaron Rodgers while we await the finale of this Chargers-Broncos game, Aaron Rodgers yesterday during his get-together with the media after the game made some very interesting comments regarding sort of the state of play for this Green Bay team at 3-3. And look, and I think what everybody has to admit is a very mediocre start to the season. And Rodgers addressed it yesterday, and the way he addressed it certainly got people talking today. The fact that he's frustrated. I mean, there's just no getting around it right now.
The last 2, so we got to play better. But wobbly, only if people are breaking rank. I think it'll be interesting to look at the comments from all of our guys and coaches, and hopefully we stick together. That's the important thing. Not attacking anything. I just think that based on how we've played the last 2 weeks, I think it's going to be in our best interest to simplify things for everybody. Where nobody works harder than Matt on the plan each week, and nobody comes with better ideas than him and his staff. But if it's not working, it's not because those guys aren't grinding. It's because we're not executing. And if we think we have the right players, then we need to simplify things. If you don't, then that's a whole other conversation.
Wow. I mean, that is a statement and a half. That's a minute of audio that really rocks you to your core. If you're Matt LaFleur, if you're the Packers organization, and you're trying to sort of figure out where to go from here. I mean, Aaron Rodgers just called you out publicly and said we need to simplify this. We need to dumb it down. And he even addressed the possibility, well, what if it's not that? What if it's just the talent on the roster? Hopkins wins it with a 39-yard field goal. The Chargers beat the Broncos in overtime 19-16. And look, if you're the Broncos, you had every opportunity to win this game. You had a couple of possessions in overtime, and you just got to do better. Did they have 2 possessions in overtime or 1? Yeah, I think they had 2 as well. And you muff a punt. Look, let's just be honest about it right now. When it comes to the Broncos, it's just not a good football team. And some of it's injuries, and some of it's the offense, and some of it's Russell Wilson, and some of it's the play calling. You can try and dissect it and divide it up any way you want when it comes to this team. They're just not a good football team. And that's it. Again, you are what you are through this stage of the season. You are 2-4. You can't score. Yeah, you're good defensively, but you can't score. You have no running game. I mean, there is nothing that really makes you believe this is going to get any better right now. I mean, they had 98 yards on the ground tonight, and that's pedestrian. Latavius Murray, 15 carries, 66 yards. Russell Wilson, 15 of 28, 188 and a touchdown. That's it. And you know what? Credit to the Chargers. They figured out a way to get a win. They're 4-2. It ain't pretty, but there ain't pictures on scorecards. I'll tell you what Matt LaFleur said about Aaron Rodgers' comments on simplifying the offense. It's about what you'd expect. That's next on the Cash In on SportsMap Radio. Man, a lot of these primetime games have not been good. I love the kicker getting interviewed, though. I will say that. Especially when the dude's kicking with a bum hamstring. Yeah, 4 for 4. He was 4 for 4. Well, listen, they're going to be at a big disadvantage because of the length of this series. You know. But you take your chances once you get into that spot, you know. Yeah. But, I mean, they're literally going to have no time off in between series. That's rough. Yeah. That's rough. But no, but you know what? It is fair because look, it is fair because the Astros did what they had to do. I mean, Scott Servais mismanaged the series and that certainly helped. I mean, my God, that series should still be going on right now. I just feel so bad. I was going to get Kenny Mayne on the show tonight because Kenny's a good buddy of mine. I've been holding that card back. (1916) the Chargers able to beat the Broncos, who dropped to 2-4. But I said this last week, and I'll say it again. It ain't over. It certainly isn't over as far as the season. It's normally at 2-4. You know, and looking the way they've looked, and as much as I think the Broncos are going nowhere, it certainly doesn't matter from a record standpoint. I mean, look at the AFC right now. Unless you're some big believer in the fact that the Jets are for real at 4-2, which if you are delusional. Frankly, I think they'd actually have a chance if Joe Flacco was the quarterback as opposed to Zach Wilson, but that's another topic entirely. I mean, the Jets are 4-2, right? So let's just separate. You got the Bills, who are 5-1. You've got the Jets, who are 4-2. You've got the Chiefs and Chargers, who are 4-2. After that, what do you have? I mean, really, what do you have after that? You've got the Titans at 3-2. You got the Colts at 3-2-1. You've got Vegas at 1-4. So they've only played 5 games. But I mean, you start to look around the league, 2-4 is still very much in the mix. That tie the Colts have may wind up being a big tie when the end of the year comes, though. But I mean, it's still anybody's guess as to who the wild card teams are going to be. I think the Jets come back to the pack ultimately. Ravens, Bengals, 3-3. The Browns are 2-4. The Steelers are 2-4. All the 2-4s are still alive. Heck, the Raiders at 1-4 are probably still alive. You want to make the argument that the Chargers are one wild card? Okay. I'll buy that. But otherwise, unless you win your division, in a lot of cases, you may not make the playoffs. There might be a couple of 9-win teams, even in a 17-game season, that make the playoffs. And in the NFC, the picture is all the murkier. Eagles, everybody's great in the NFC East, except the Commanders, and the Vikings are 5-1. Other than that, everybody's 3-3 or worse. It is the year of mediocrity. I've never seen anything like it. I don't think anybody's ever seen anything like it. I mean, at 6 weeks into the season, if I told you Atlanta could be a playoff team, again, you would have taken me off the air. You would have taken me off the air. Said, get them tested. But, I mean, Atlanta's been one of the more entertaining teams in the NFL this year. If you gave me the first 6 games of Atlanta, Tampa Bay, and Green Bay, who's been the most, and again, keeping in mind they're all 3-3. Of those 3 teams, which have been the most exciting to watch? It's not even close. It's Atlanta. It's not even close. Atlanta has been the most exciting of those 3 teams. They've been the most fun to watch of those 3 teams. It's wild, man. It really is. And the Giants at 5-1 is one of the all-time most bizarre starts to a season. I had them winning 5 games before the season started. 1-800-224-2004. But if you ask me right now at 4-2 or the Giants at 5-1, if the Giants are better than the Cowboys, I'd tell you no. Dallas at 4-2 is better than the Giants at 5-1. Giants have had their starting quarterback all year. The Cowboys have not. The Giants are pretty good defensively. I mean, they did a good job containing Lamar Jackson yesterday. And then they watched Lamar Jackson and force him into a couple of mistakes late in that game. That, again, have to be a source of concern when you talk about the Ravens. But even with all that said, 3-3, right at the top of the AFC North. We all thought the NFC East was going to be the mediocre division in the NFL this year. And AFC North on line 1. The NFC South on line 2, the NFC West on line 3. All of them are worse than the NFC East. Where you've got 3 teams in the NFC East that are a combined 15-3. And none of them are destroying the world in terms of point differential, by the way. I mean, Dallas is a +12. The Giants are a +14. One of them's 4-2 and one of them's 5-1. It's just, I'm telling you. Just be careful not to read too much into anything you've seen through the first 6 weeks. The Jets are 4-2 right now. I wouldn't be shocked if they wound up 7-10. As long as Zach Wilson is the quarterback. I have no confidence in that kid right now. I mean, even the Vikings at 5-1, Scott Seidenberg was on in the last hour talking about it from pregame.com. The actual quality of play, when you look at every play of the game and dissect it, they've really been more like a 1-5, 2-4 team. They've just had a lot of things go their way over the first 6 games of the season to be 5-1. Telling you, the teams I still feel good about are the teams that can defend and have some semblance of an offensive strategy. And players that can deliver it. And that's why I still say the Cowboys right now are a team that has to be reckoned with. But something else we talked about in that first hour with Scott that's very true is you no longer can trust the lines that odds makers are putting out. We are called the cash in for a reason. We like to talk about sports betting on this show. And I know it's not legal in every single state, but even in states where it's not legal, people are figuring out ways to bet on games. We'll put it that way. And, odds makers are putting lines out that are not necessarily in line with where these teams are. A lot of these lines have to do with, sort of past reputation of some players and collections of players. And the fact of the matter is, every week now, it feels like some of these lines are terribly off. I mean, I went 2-2 in Paige's picks this week. So I'm 12-13 for the year. Not terrible, not great, obviously. We'd like to be above 500 by this point in the season. But my God, how would I possibly think, when I go in through and look at the games we pick, I mean, how would you, with the Browns at home for the Patriots, with Bailey Zappi at quarterback, maybe it would have been Mac Jones. We didn't know who was going to start for sure when we picked the game on Friday. But regardless, who would have thought the Browns at home, not only couldn't beat New England, but lose 38-15 at home. That line was Browns minus 2.5. You can't get much further off than that. The point total in the Bills-Chiefs game was 53.5. It didn't even sniff it. It never had a chance. It finished at 44. So it's not like they're making these lines, and usually they get the lines pretty close to what the score, the total winds up being. They're not even close in a lot of instances. The Giants at home against the Ravens, +6. The Giants win by 4 on the field, which was one we told you we loved. And then we got the under in the Pittsburgh-Tampa Bay game, which I felt like was a good pick. But, I mean, I loved all 4 of those picks, and only 2 of them hit. And I've had that happen every week, which just goes to show you how difficult it is. And I'm not saying I'm some Jimmy the Greek who does a great job picking games and wins at a 65 or 70% clip. But trying to pick games this year just is not easy. You have to really sort of examine some of these lines. And now, instead of just trying to figure out what you think is going to happen as far as the line or the spread or a total in a game is concerned, you have to first figure out, are the odds makers even getting it right when it comes to the line to begin with? Which means you have to, show a little hubris and say, you know what? I might know a little bit more than the odds makers do on some of these lines, which is what I did in the case of the Giant game. There wasn't a pick that I felt more confident in, probably in week 6, than the Giants +6 at home. But it is very challenging right now. It's challenging times to try and pick winners. I said this to Scott, and to some degree, I think he agreed with me. I think live betting right now is your best bet. Seeing what's going on in the game, trying to identify trends, feeling like, it's much easier to watch half a game and try to place a wager than it is before a game, because nothing seems to be lining up with what we expect before these games actually begin. At any rate, that's where we are through week 6 now in the NFL. It is complete with the Chargers finishing off a Monday Night Football win, 19-16. Justin Herbert, by the way, just continues to be a gamer. Even with the torn rib cartilage, he was 37 of 57 for 238 yards and an interception. And again, you ask, how did the Chargers win this game either? They got 73 yards of offense on the ground. And if Justin Herbert has to keep throwing the ball 57 times, either he's going to get killed in the backfield, figuratively speaking. There's no way they can continue to win with him having to throw the football this much each and every week. They have got to get something going on the ground. And right now, it's just not happening. It's just not happening when it comes to this ground game for the Chargers. And again, same thing for Denver right now, just trying to figure out some semblance of a ground attack. Man, what a wild week in the NFL, though. We haven't even gotten into college football yet. And I got a point to make about college football. I'll do that coming up here in a couple of minutes. 1-800-224-2004, 800-224-2004. You want to tweet at the show, do it at the back page, because there was obviously a couple of big college football games this weekend. Some of the unbeatens are no longer unbeaten. We all know about the Tennessee finish, the win, the goalposts coming down, being shipped down the Tennessee River. I mean, just wild weekend in college football. As a matter of fact, you can make the argument that Saturday was as good a Saturday sports day as we've had in years. With the playoff baseball, the Padres, we haven't even gotten into that yet. And all I got is an hour left. But, I mean, what the Padres did, beating the Dodgers, the 111-win Dodgers, a Dodgers team that won 22 more games than they did, that beat them up mercilessly throughout the entire season and over the last decade. And now the Padres are back in the World Series for the first time in 24 back in the National League Championship Series for the first time in 24 years. Two wild card teams going to the NLCS out of the National League. 200-win teams going home. Everybody's up in arms about, is it the bye? Is it this? We'll get into all of this in the final hour of the show. 800-224-2004 if you want to weigh in. 800-224-2004. We'll maybe get some post-game sound in as well from the Broncos and the Chargers after the Chargers win it in overtime 19-16 in Monday Night Football. Stick around. We'll come back, wrap up this hour of the Cash In on SportsMap Radio. Continuing with this Monday edition of the Cash In, we still got another hour to play with. Keeping our eye on post-game reaction from Los Angeles. See what the Broncos have to say during the post-game. We'll hopefully hear from Russell Wilson and or Nathaniel Hackett. I'm more interested to hear what they have to say after another tough loss in primetime. I mean, what have they been in primetime? 3 or 4 times now over the first 6 weeks? And it hasn't been pretty. But the Broncos dropped to 2-4 on the year, and we'll see what we hear during the post-game show. Next hour, we'll get into some of the baseball because we haven't talked about it at all. Yankees and the Guardians will play Game 5 tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern. And if you haven't done so yet, go and download the Jock MKT app because that's your chance to win money on the game. JockMKT.com or JockMKT, the app, offers live daily markets for sports, let you buy and sell shares of athletes in real time with other users, all for real money. And each share has a guaranteed payout at the end of the night. Bid on shares before the games in their IPO phase and trade shares live while the games are happening. All shares have a guaranteed payout at the end of the night. They're currently live in 36 states and more to come for NFL, NBA, MLB, NHL, PGA, and NASCAR. Download using the jockmkey.com/crossover or deposit with code CASHIN to receive 100% deposit match up to $100. Your first market will also be risk-free with losses refunded up to $100. JockMKT.com or check out the Jock MKT app, promo code CASHIN. Get that 100% deposit bonus on your first deposit up to $100. Another hour of the Cash In is right around the corner right here on SportsMap Radio. Stay with us. Final hour of a Monday/Tuesday edition of the Cash-In. It's SportsMap Radio and the SportsMap Radio app. Thank you for listening wherever you are. Whether it's SportsMap Radio, the app, or you're watching us on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, we're everywhere. We're keeping an eye on post-game, see what Russell Wilson and Nathaniel Hackett have to say after yet another loss, 2-4 now. Again, I mean, I'm more interested to hear about how the Broncos are sort of handling this right now as opposed to what we've been seeing from the Chargers and whatnot. So we'll get to that coming up here in just a minute. We'll let you hear from Nathaniel Hackett in his own words. That'll be coming up in just a couple of minutes. The baseball has been terrific. If you haven't been watching it, you've really missed out. It's been a fun postseason so far. I mean, that scene in Los Angeles with in San Diego with the Padres and the Dodgers on Saturday night, I mean, that was electric. The shame of it is most of the country didn't even see it because it ended so late. It's one of the times it's really good to be living on the West Coast because it wasn't that late for us. But, man, what a terrific baseball game. Great come-from-behind win. Padres win the series in 4, and it leaves the Dodgers with a ton of questions going into this offseason because there's built to win in the regular season and then there's built to win World Series. And there's no question about it right now. With all the years of winning that we've seen out of the Los Angeles Dodgers and only one World Series to show for it, it feels a lot like the Braves of the late 90s. That could win, but not win as much as they should have. And if you're the Dodgers organization, you've got to address it during the offseason because there's too much talent there for this team to come up short again. We'll get into the baseball, post-game sound for Monday Night Football, and more next.
We definitely got to clean up. We got to clean up those 4 or 5 as well, the pass interference calls, but all of them together, it just doesn't make.
Play it coming out of the break.
Win a lot of games when you have 150-plus yards in penalties.
Yeah, a couple of times the Chargers had 3rd and 5.
Because then I'll take that right into Nathaniel Hackett.
Either a short 3rd down or a 1st down. They got to find a way to play clean football here. Phil, another loss on a road trip against the division. Broncos have to find a way to be better. Back to you.
Joe Buck, the call, ESPN Monday Night Football. A win for the Chargers, 19-16 over the Denver Broncos. Chargers improved to 4-2, and the Broncos dropped to 2-4. Their head coach is Nathaniel Hackett. He met with the media a short time ago.
Nate, after they tied the game with 3:58 to go, had 3 different chances, including overtime, to kind of go down there for a winning score. I know you'll have to go back and look at it, but how disappointing was it that you guys weren't able to kind of generate anything, and what do you think the biggest issues were?
Very. I mean, this is very disappointing. We need to have a lot more urgency across the board. Starts with me as a coach, going to all the other coaches, and then to the players. Players need to be, just more urgent. We had some opportunities there, and we got to execute at a higher level. We got to come up with some better plays.
You guys only had, I think, 15 passing yards in the second half in overtime. Just were they taking something away in the passing game? What went wrong?
I'm gonna have to look at the tape on that one. That's what we'll do now on our trip back. We got a short week. We got to clean that stuff up. See how many opportunities we had. If there was something else we could have gotten to, but felt like we had a good plan, and in the end, just it didn't come together.
You talked a lot about your commitment to the run game and your belief in that. How much does it handicap what you're trying to accomplish offensively when you can't run the ball?
Early, it seemed like we weren't doing as well. The pass game was a little bit better. Started getting the run game going a little bit in the second half, but then had to convert on some third downs. I think the third down thing is very frustrating also. I don't think we were very good. I haven't seen the stats yet, but we definitely weren't continuing those drives, and we got to keep our defense off. I know time of possession, we didn't have the ball enough, and we got to be better on offense. And as a coaching staff, we're going to put our head down, and we're going to keep working on this short week.
151 yards in penalties. What did you see there in terms of, obviously a lot of that was with Damari, 4 pass interference penalties. What was kind of your takeaway with that?
I'm going to have to go back and look at those and see where they came from, how they happened, and how we can hopefully prevent more of those. We've been harping on that quite a bit. I think both teams had a lot of penalties in this game. I think last I heard, I think we had 10. I don't know if they had 10 or 9 or something like that. But again, we just got to play cleaner football across the board.
You've talked each week about trying to improve the offense, and obviously it hasn't happened yet. Where's maybe just your frustration level with where it is right now, and do you think it is fixable?
I mean, first and foremost, it starts with me. I feel like I can do more and continually work to try to find the best schemes for our players. We'll have to look at this game and see where some of those things broke down. But we got to come up with better plays for the guys, and the guys got to be better at executing them. So it's a combination of all of us working together, coming together, and making sure we're doing all the right stuff. I thought he did a good job. It looked like he went in there and was running very hard, running downhill. He was making contact and falling forward, so that was really good to see. And I'll have to look at the tape and see how the other 2 guys did, but he definitely got into a rhythm.
In the second quarter, you guys made a lineup change on the offense.
All right, so that's Nathaniel Hackett talking to the media after the game. Not going to get a lot. Was it just me, or was every answer, I got to look at the tape. I got to look at the tape. I got to go look at the tape. Seems like a bit of a cop-out, but what do you expect the coach to say in that spot after a game like the team just endured? And we'll see what Russell Wilson has to say, because I think if I heard them correctly, Belmer, I don't know if I heard this right, they only had 14 yards passing the football in the second half of this game. I think that is actually the number, because Wilson threw for, I think, 174 in the first half, and he finished with 188 for the game. That's inconceivable. I mean, that's just nuts. When you're talking about, it's just, wow. It's just bad, man. And again, I have to be completely forthright. The second half of the game starts, I'm basically starting the show. So I'm not able to watch every play. In the first half, I thought Russell Wilson played fairly well. So you might have seen more of the second half than I did, Belmer. But I mean, 14 yards passing in the second half? Is that possible? Apparently it is. And then, yes, that's right. And then an entire overtime. Wow. Just mind-boggling. Total offense on the night by the numbers, 258 yards for a 4-quarter and basically an entire overtime period. 258 yards. Not that the Chargers were oodles better than that at just 297, but the Broncos only had 13 first downs in the game. Third down efficiency continues to be a problem. They're just 4 of 14, and I suspect most of those were in the first half, which means they didn't get anything done on third down in the second half. I mean, it's just, I don't know where you go if you're this team and you're this offense, and unbelievable. We talked about it in the first hour of the show. If you missed our conversation with Scott Seidenberg, we'll have that coming up about 22 minutes from now on the show, from pregame.com, talking about some of the NFL betting that we've seen through the first 6 games of this year and why it's been so hard to bet the NFL in 2022. We'll get into that. Also a little bit on that Yankees-Guardians game, which will now be played on Tuesday afternoon, 4 p.m. Eastern, just after 4 p.m. Eastern, for first pitch of that Game 5. And Game 1 of the National League Championship Series is tomorrow night. So we'll have that to obviously get into as we do the show tomorrow night. But I love the Yankees tomorrow. If I had a house and could bet, let me put it this way, if I had a house to spare, I'd bet it on the Yankees tomorrow. I feel that strongly about the Yankees tomorrow. How's that, Belmer? You want confidence? I got your confidence right there. Yes. At home. And I'll tell you why. If you've watched the first 4 games of this series, you'd understand why I say that. Because through the first 4 games of this series, the Guardians have gotten base hits on very light contact. They have had very few really hard hit balls in this series. They have had Lady Luck shining upon them in a lot of instances. And I know that sounds kind of corny and cheap, but go and look at some of their base hits in this series. They're not drilling baseballs around the park. Other than Josh Naylor hitting one out off of Garrett Cole that might still be going if a fan didn't get in the way. They haven't really done all that much in terms of hitting the ball hard in this series. They make contact, but making contact and hitting the ball hard are 2 totally different things. And the Yankees have hit into some bad luck. So, honestly, if you've watched the first 4 games of this series and the way it's all sort of played out, the Yankees are the better team. Now, in a 1-game situation, how does that matter? Not a heck of a lot. But the Yankees have arguably their best pitcher going tomorrow now in Nestor Cortez because of the rain out against Aaron Savale. I love the Yankees tomorrow. Matter of fact, Scott said he liked the under, which was 7.5 in the sports book he was looking at. I'm not very keen on the under. Totals scare me in baseball because all you need is one big inning with a crooked number. And that number could get blown to bits. I know. And look, the number on I'll tell you right now, the money line on the Yankees has gone up. It was 153 when we talked to Scott an hour and 20 minutes ago. Now it's 166, which means the money is trending in the Yankees' direction. So, something to sort of keep in mind right now. Matter of fact, here it is. On the Yankees right now, percentage of bets, 76% of the money is on the Yankees tomorrow. 76%. And that's a pretty big number. Which sometimes scares me because bookmakers don't like to lose money. If you know what I mean. So all that money going on the Yankees is a little bit scary. Because they didn't build all those casinos in Vegas and build those yachts that the CEOs own. They don't build those by losing when 76% of the money or 85% of the money is on one team. It's kind of scary, not going to lie. But there's a lot of money shifting towards the Yankees right now. I mean, it's at minus 166 now. It was 153 when we talked to Scott an hour and 20 minutes ago. What will it be by the time we get off the air? 170 plus, minus 170 something. 1-800-224-2004, 800-224-2004. You can tweet at the show at the back page if you want to hit us up on Twitter with a thought as we continue to move through the program. Again, you can do that at the back page. We'll see if we hear anything from Russell Westbrook coming up here in a couple of minutes. We'll keep an eye on the Broncos postgame if he has anything interesting to say. We went through the baseball. I got to get into something else that I wanted to talk about from this weekend. We'll do that coming up here in a couple of minutes. Stick around. Jason Page, good to have you with us. The cash-in continues on SportsMap Radio. Hey. Yes? Did I say Russell Westbrook again? Correct me on the air if I do that. God damn it. I keep saying Russell Westbrook. No. If you do it, nobody cares. Yeah. So you don't need me to even come out of it? Okay, cool. The sports betting talk, particularly the NFL over the first 6 weeks of this NFL season. It's just been impossible to try and bet this league. Keeping an eye on the Broncos postgame, see if Russell Wilson approaches the podium. Apparently, I called him Russell Westbrook again in the last segment, and John didn't correct me. I said, Belmer, correct me if I say Russell Westbrook. Making a fool of myself out here. I haven't gotten into it yet, but there is an update in the Deshaun Watson case as it relates to the Browns quarterback. And Now, the NFL is still leaving open the possibility that they further sanction Deshaun Watson based on whatever information comes to light. The update today is that a judge has given the latest plaintiff in the latest lawsuit against Deshaun Watson 24 hours to provide her name, because right now she is filed as Jane Doe, and basically Watson's people are saying, all right, we have the right to know who this 26th known civil case is being filed by that is accusing him of inappropriate sexual misconduct or sexual assault during massages. Again, not much has been said publicly from this victim yet. There is obviously a case that is making its way through the courts. NFL spokesman Brian McCarthy, in a statement on Friday, said Watson's 11-game suspension will stand, but he could face more discipline if it's found he's further violated the league's code of conduct. And as I've said before, I don't know how you say further violated. If it's another case with the same sort of fact pattern, is that a further violation of the league's code of conduct, or is that simply just, oh, it's the same thing, okay, we're moving on? Wouldn't shock me. And keep in mind, 2 grand juries in Texas, and I think it's important to mention this, declined to pursue criminal charges against Watson earlier this year, but an independent arbiter jointly appointed by the league and players union found the NFL carried its burden to prove by a preponderance of the evidence Watson engaged in sexual assault. The arbiter in that case, in a report, said Watson's behavior was egregious and predatory. He is scheduled to return for the Browns when they take on the Texans in Houston on December 4th. And I will still say to this day, I don't think it's coincidental that that's when Watson's going to be back on the field. You're telling me it's just a coincidence that they took this thing down to 11 games, could have been 12, could have been 13, could have been 14, could have been 10. The fact that they made it 11 just so he can play in Houston, you're telling me that's just a coincidence that 11 was the number thrown out there? Come on. You must have mistaken me for a fool. So, we'll wait and see what the end result is of this latest sort of situation involving Deshaun Watson, but I have no reason to believe anything further is going to take place beyond what already has. We talked about it also earlier in the last hour. Tua Tagovailoa is going to likely return this week for the Miami Dolphins, and it could not come soon enough. They've lost 3 in a row in his absence, and they're just trying to figure out a way right now to sort of, get along without him. But, I mean, it's clear that his loss has been catastrophic for that team. I have said this before, and I'll say it again. They had better be 150% sure, 200% sure. I mean, because there are jobs that are going to be at stake. Not that there already shouldn't be. By the way, you notice we haven't heard anything else about that investigation into the Tagovailoa concussion, wasn't diagnosed. You had the team neurologist or the league neurologist or this neurologist that was accepted by the Players Association and the league. You had that person get fired, and you've had nothing else happen since then. You've had changes in policy, but nobody else has lost their jobs as a result of Tagovailoa basically in that terrible position we saw him in a primetime game on a Thursday night. You've seen nothing happen since then. Nothing at all. This is what this league does. They just wait for the calm. They just wait for the storm to pass. They batten down the hatches. They all get in a room and light some candles, wait for the worst of it to pass, and then pop their heads out again. It's exactly what this league does. That feels like it was already a month and a half ago. That's how long ago that feels. How quickly the time flies. That was just a few weeks ago. And now we're talking about Tua back on the field this weekend. I've said it before. If he gets hit in a bad way, and this time it winds up worse, I mean, can you imagine? But then again, I sit there and say that, and then in the back of my mind, I'm saying, well, nothing's going to happen anyway. Because this league continues to be bulletproof when it comes to these sorts of situations. I mean, time and time again, we see this league dealing with trouble and just simply waiting for it to pass. Cam Akers, by the way, story update that we talked about on Friday. The running back for the Rams, the team has basically sent him home, and now they're trying to trade him. We talked about it last week on the show, and apparently that's the approach that the Rams have decided to take with Sean McVay. They're exploring the option of giving Cam Akers, quote, a fresh start, a fresh new start with another team. That's what McVay said. Didn't practice for the second day in a row. Didn't play in week 6. Working through some different things. That's code for we're moving on from Cam Akers. And so far this year, he's only averaging about 3 yards a carry, 151 rushing yards and a touchdown. We'll see where he winds up landing. Look, there's plenty of teams out there right now that need a running back. Hold on. It's the Broncos on line 1. I mean, say what you want about Latavius Murray's 60-some-odd yards tonight. Right now, the Broncos, they need help in the running game. You have to imagine, that's a potential fit right now for what this team is trying to do. Also, after getting thrown under the bus by his head coach, Ron Rivera, I don't know how many people saw it, but Carson Wentz is going to require surgery on his throwing hand, on a finger. He's going to be out of action. Nobody knows for how long yet. So the Commanders are official. Can we say the Commanders are on the clock? I don't know if they're going to have the first pick, but it certainly feels like they're going to be a top 5 team when it comes to the draft next spring when you start to look at what's going on with that organization right now. And Ron Rivera may not be around for that draft because I get the sense that after this season, he will no longer be the head coach of that organization. Given what has transpired here over the first 6 weeks, him rolling the bus over Carson Wentz and then trying to take it back and having to apologize and talk to the team about it, it feels like that's certainly in the cards. We haven't even gotten into all the big NFL stuff, and I'd rather save it for tomorrow. But there's this whole controversy surrounding the Patriots now, and do they have a quarterback controversy, which I think sometimes we use that term a little bit too easily, quarterback controversy. I don't think it's a controversy. Mac Jones got hurt. Bailey Zappi stepped up when Brian Hoyer couldn't play because he got hurt, and Zappi's been good. That's not a controversy. A controversy would be if Mac Jones came to play next game and pulled his pants down at midfield. That would be a controversy. That would be a controversy. If Bill Belichick walked out in the middle of the field tomorrow and announced, that whole ball deflation thing, it happened all the time. We were deflating footballs. That'd be a controversy. Having 2 good quarterbacks that could potentially lead your team, that's not a controversy. That's a decision that a head coach has to make. And listen, there's some organizations that don't have one capable quarterback. Now it looks like the Patriots have a couple of them. Scott Seidenberg from pregame.com on the other side talking NFL betting as we continue on the Cash In. It's SportsMap Radio. Did you? Yeah, just do that. That's fine. Yeah, grab a couple. That's fine. I'm not partial towards anything today. My plans for the show got blown up when the Yankee game got rained out. All right, I'll be back in about 20. So you got this all until I come back, right? Till we come back for that very last segment? Got it. My apologies today, John. I suck. I just suck today. I just wasn't good today. So, my apologies. Yeah. Yeah. I had a very difficult day. I had a really hard time focusing today for some reason. I don't know why, but just really, really had a hard time. Yeah. No, it's one of those things where I can tell, but yeah, I don't think the average listener notices it, but I do. Bye-bye. To those of you watching on the app, where is... for those of you watching on the app, thanks for checking out the show tonight. We'll do better tomorrow, I promise. Till then, see you later.